Now before I start this video guys, we are doing yet another giveaway on this video, so make sure to check out the entry phrase during the video to enter. In this video we're going to be giving away advanced mythic tokens, and this is going to be for Wanderer's Wheel. You don't necessarily have to use them for Wanderer himself, but you get the choice. It is completely up to you. This giveaway will be open until Monday the 18th of July. Do check the top comment to see how many tokens I'm going to be giving away and how many potential winners there can be. Good luck if you enter. Now on to the video. Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic the Wanderer, who I believe is going to be the first character to come onto the advanced token wheel. More details on that to follow. Visually, well, we've seen the Wanderer before. He has had 3 iterations before. A 5-star character that turned into a 5-star ascendable that obviously could be ascended to 6-star, and he also had an S-class version as well. Wanderer has always been that kind of mystical character. We haven't seen too much of him, just like kind of the eyes pretty much, and obviously we don't know his name. It's the Wanderer. It's kind of cool. I kind of always liked the Wanderer as a character, and they kind of, you know, released his details with the Outlanders info quite cool, because they did it in Wanderer style where they just showed the picture of him, and so many people have been talking about him. The hype around this character has been one of the highest I've seen on an RTS character for quite a while. If we look at the actual stats on this character, at level 1440, which is maxed out lieutenants and base level, limit break 3, he has got 30,933 attack, 23,200 defense, and 23,200 HP. He is a fast character, considered a support character. It's a mythic character, of course, and he's going to be another character to join the Outlanders allegiance. Just an FYI, the other 2 characters, I'm going to be doing some kind of sneak peek info on these characters, because I've seen a lot of nice kind of guesswork on who these characters potentially are. But let's get on to the Wanderer's kit. Now first up, he has an adrenaline rush that is called Hidden Force. It has got a recharge rate of 66 AP, attack 3 enemies for 250% damage each. This character and all teammates get elusive for 2 turns. So nothing too crazy here, but it is worth noting that I believe all of these attacks should be able to crit, because it says attack 3 enemies. So if you have any weapons that can get bonuses from hitting crits, I think there's pretty much like the line or the single target impair weapons that fast characters can have. The line one was a bit rarer because it was the Holiday Heroes weapon, but you can actually get that to proc on all 3 enemies. So it could potentially impair 3 enemies with this. You know, any weapons that come out in the future, we don't know. Could be things like AP Drain, could be things like Confuse, anything like that will work with this Adrenaline Rush. This character and all teammates get elusive for 2 turns is obviously nice. It means no AP gain will be given out when people attack, but also when they get attacked. And because he's a fast character, you could potentially build him into a fast team and make him rush extremely quickly to just give away barely any AP. The only AP characters will be able to get then would be from using signature moves, as that's not based on actually hitting someone and gaining AP. That's actually just based on using the signature move. Okay, so we have got the adrenaline rush up here of the Wanderer. I'm going to target the tough character just because it is a fast character. He should attack her, then go on to someone else, then go on to someone else. There we go, there's 3 hits. You see the 3 hits? And there's obviously other things that are happening because of these hits based on other parts of the Wanderer's kit. But like I said, if you had a weapon that, if you got a crit, potential things could happen with in terms of control. You can potentially have a weapon that has guaranteed crits on it because he is fast. There is a couple of options. If you had the double attack weapon on this character, he'd potentially hit 3 double attacks here. So there are definitely options for fast characters with this rush. Now if we look at the upgrades on the Adrenaline Rush, you can see at grade 3 it gets +1 attack target. So it goes from initial 1 attack target up to 2 attack targets. At grade 5 it gets an upgrade where all teammates get elusive for 2 turns. Initially it is just the Wanderer who would get that elusive, I believe. And at limit break 2 it gets another +1 attack target, making it attacking 3 enemies for 250% damage. These are actually pretty big upgrades. LB2 to get another attack target is pretty big. Damage output potential massively increased, and anything on the weapon, like I said, control potential, or also in the passives potential, you know, these things actually being able to proc, there's just an extra chance of that actually being able to happen. I think this rush is a pretty decent baseline. You did see a lot of other stuff happening when you did that rush. There was some splash damage because the specialist skill. There seemed to be some crosshairs. That's probably going to be in his passives as well. We'll have to check through that later in the video. But first, we'll move on to the signature move. And that signature move is called Torture Dance. And I do really like the little image they've used. It's basically his art, but they've just made his eye red. Obviously looks cool. Initial cooldown of turn 1. Cooldown of 2 turns. Number of uses unlimited. This character gets elusive for the rest of combat. Make a critical attack against 2 enemies for 200% damage each. Those enemies get 10,000 trauma for 2 turns. So obviously the elusive is nice and it should not be overlapped by his rush. It's just his rush will give him elusive if this for some reason has been removed or cleansed by an enemy, stolen by an enemy. You know how it works. So he's basically got multiple ways to put elusive on himself. I like that quite a lot. Making 2 guaranteed crits is really powerful, especially on a turn 1 signature move. Especially, like I said, if you've got those controlling weapons where if you hit crits, you get bonuses. 200% damage is nice as well. A lot of the time, it's just a critical hit, which would normally be 100% damage. This is a guaranteed 200% damage crit hit, which should be actually pretty decent. Especially on turn 1, you can use a weapon where you get bonus attack based on the enemy's HP. That means the damage output should be pretty hefty. The last part is obviously the first time we've seen heavy amounts of trauma come into the game, and 10,000 is quite a lot. It does require someone to actually resist something going forward, but every time someone resists something when they've got trauma on them, they take the amount of damage they have in trauma. So for instance, if they have 10,000 trauma, they'll take 10,000 damage per resist. If they have 500,000 trauma, very unlikely to happen, but they take 500,000 damage. It is worth noting that trauma stacks. So if there were multiple characters with trauma, be it the Wanderer and any future release characters that actually have trauma in their kit, you could potentially stack up the trauma on one particular character that you know it's actually good to stack up that trauma on. And one of the best types of characters to show this against is someone with the Resilient Specialist skill, because they have a higher chance to resist, but that does include the trauma itself. Now the Wanderer is not a control character, so he does not have precision. He is a support character, so he has cunning. He's not likely to proc weapons, but he isn't as likely to proc his control. He does manage to put 10,000 trauma on Imani up here. This does mean that any follow-up resists she'll take 10,000 damage. So for instance, Sam and Tom, damage control character, he should have turn 1 days. If she resists, she takes 10,000. Oh, so does Mr. Lou down here. She actually took 20,000, so I guess that Sam and Tom has something else in his kit that she resisted. And then if I do the stun, she is going to resist that, and so is Mr. Lou. He did take 10,000 damage, but he healed because of his passives. And then potentially I could do the bleed, and he's going to resist that as well. You can see how much damage just they already taken. So looking at the upgrades on the signature move, you can see at grade 2 it has -1 to cooldown, so it goes from a 3-turn cooldown down to a 2-turn cooldown. That's pretty important. At grade 4 it gets an upgrade where those 2 enemies get 10,000 trauma for 2 turns. That is grade 4, so you only need 1 copy of the character. That's not too hard to come by. Then we get into the limit breaks. Limit break 1, -1 to starting cooldown. Getting trauma off as early as possible is honestly quite important. Doing this character's skill first, and then any turn 1 control of any other character, any resist coming in, it doesn't matter. They'll take damage. You're getting some benefits there. I say getting LB1 seems to be quite important here. The upgrade where this character gets elusive for the rest of combat is nice. And obviously with that comes extra stats for the Wanderer. He does get that on his Adrenaline Rush. It isn't going to be too problematic if he doesn't have this. If you want to keep him mainly as a support character, I'd say definitely want to aim for LB1. He won't do as much damage that way, but if you do want him to have decent damage output, and obviously the better the damage output, you know, just the better overall when it's used on an attack team, and he does seem like an attack team character right now, you can definitely amplify this signature move up massively. Those hits weren't too bad. The fact that he has inbuilt like splash on his kit and is guaranteed to proc on each of those hits because of how that specialist skill works, which we'll check out in a second, but he can actually get massive amounts of damage boost because of the weapons that you can use. And you know, if you've used someone like Lydia, you know that her first turn signature move can hit extremely hard, and hers is not a guaranteed crit. The Wanderer's is. So the damage output potential with the Wanderer is really, really good. The higher the limit break, the more damage potential. It's just pretty much as simple as that. Now, I like this signature move a lot. Again, it plays into you having control on what happens when it comes to the weapon. There's definitely amplification that you can already do to this. And I do like trauma. 10,000 might not seem like a lot, but remember, it does stack. So if you have like 1, 2, 3 more characters come out with 5 to 10,000 trauma, you can get trauma up to like 20, 30,000 without too much of a problem. They've got turn 1 or turn 2 signature moves, and then every resist is going to be huge amounts of damage. It won't just be resilient characters who are resisting a lot that are going to be useful against. It's going to be useful against anybody who resists, like even just with a mod. So definitely keep an eye on that trauma, and don't sleep on that at all. Okay guys, it's that part of the video. All you have to do to enter the advanced mythic token giveaway is to type in the chat sneaky sneaky. That's all you have to type. We've got a sneaky character here, very sneaky indeed. So all you have to do is type sneaky space sneaky, no block capitals, no lowercase, no uppercase, it doesn't matter. As long as it says sneaky sneaky, that's 100% fine. I would 100% use it in part of a sentence, or at least write something afterwards, just so that YouTube doesn't spam you out. Otherwise you could run into issues. Good luck if you enter. Now back to the video, guys. Now let's go across to the Wanderer's mythic abilities. These are his passives, and we have seen plenty going on when I've done his rush and his signature move, which are not described in there, so they must be in his passives. First off, he has got cunning because he is a support character. He's less likely to proc weapons, and weapons are less likely to proc when attacking him. The next one is unseen team. When this character performs a critical attack, 100% chance 4 teammates get camouflage for 2 turns. This is really, really good. This is going to be very useful against teams with payback. You guys know how it works with someone like Carol, but the Wanderer's damage output is much nicer than Carol's, let's be honest. So the potential here is actually pretty good with the Wanderer. And on that signature move, it should mean that an entire team can get camouflage for 2 turns. I'll do a 5 character team in the next test just to show you the signature move. The next one is called Dismember. At the start of each turn, 100% chance an enemy gets disarmed for 2 turns. This is very nice indeed. Not a lot of people have disarm resist, and this is going to just open up a window for your team to just get some AP off of that first turn without too many risks. And that's really nice indeed, especially against some of these new weapons where it's like 60% chance to absolute defend. I'm not too sure we'll see too many disarm resists there, but this will be 100% chance that that enemy gets disarmed. If they're the last character alive, they're always going to be disarmed. Their weapon's never going to be an issue, and against multi-hit characters that is very beneficial. The last one is Marked for Death. When this character performs a critical attack, 100% chance the target gets crosshairs for 2 turns. So he's basically got the a secondary specialist skill here, because that is basically Headhunter, right? If you perform a critical attack, you give crosshairs to the enemy. I think it might be for 3 turns on the specialist skill, but this is obviously fantastic because his rush is going to do 3 crits potentially. His signature move is going to do 2 against 2 separate enemies too, and obviously when someone gets taken out with crosshairs on them, they are decapped and cannot get revived, which is very vital in certain, against certain setups. So that's very nice indeed. Okay, so I'm going to attack, and you can see we did get the free disarm on Lee on the top left hand corner, and this does mean my characters can kind of freely attack without any risk. I'm going to get the Guardian Shield on the Wanderer here. That's pretty useful. And I'm going to use the signature move. First, I'm going to use it on Angel, and it doesn't really matter where the second hits at this point, I think, because the Guardian Shield should protect him against the Bide and the Payback, or will it only protect him against one? We'll hit a crit and a second crit, and has everyone got camouflage on my team? I see 4, everyone's got camouflage. So as long as he hits 2 crits, everybody will get camouflage on my team. And why this is beneficial is because I can follow up with someone like Kenny, and you know how Kenny works. He does huge amounts of damage, but the camouflage will stop extra like reflect damage on my teammates. As you can see, no one took the damage from the Payback because the camo blocked it. Now, Kenny normally gets that only with Telltale characters, but it will get it with everybody as long as there's camouflage. If you've used Carol, you know how it works, and the potential for very early takedowns with the Wanderer and Kenny as a combo seems really, really high potential. The only risk is that the Wanderer actually hits the payback on the second hit of his signature move, but if you have a Guardian Shield, and if you maybe don't even build the Wanderer for damage, you have less chance of proccing that big hit. Now I'll go to the upgrades on the passive skills here, and you can see he gets the first half of Unseen Team at grade 1, and that's 50% chance that 4 teammates get camouflage when he hits a crit. At grade 2 he gets the first half of Cunning, and at grade 3 he gets the second half of Unseen Team. Very nice there, 100% chance for the camouflage to come in when he hits a crit on the signature moves. That means he's going to have that chance to proc twice as long as he hits crits. The only people who can resist crits are tanks, or potentially characters with absolute defense weapons can also stop you from hitting a crit. The next two, at grade 4, you're going to get the first half of Dismember. That's a 50% chance that an enemy gets disarmed for 2 turns at the beginning of the fight. And at grade 5, he gets the first half of Marked for Death. And this is a 50% chance the target gets crosshairs for 2 turns when he hits a critical hit. Even at 50% chance, it's still pretty decent. 100% chance, obviously, it's a nice boost. And he gets that in the limit breaks. At limit break 1, Cunning 2 comes in, making it 30% total. At limit break 2, Dismember 2 comes in, making it 100% chance that an enemy gets disarmed for 2 turns. And at limit break 3, Marked for Death 2 comes in, 100% chance the target gets crosshairs for 2 turns when he hits a critical hit on them. That honestly is really good. Like I say, it's basically making him a dual specialist with this passive. So all of his passives are useful to upgrade. There isn't one that is worth actually just avoiding. Very nice support character, and like I was kind of alluding to with the test on his passives, you might not even want to build him for damage. Just make sure he can hit crits, make sure he's got maybe good HP so he can maybe take a hit. If you have support characters on the same team as him that has bonus HP and Guardian Shields, that's going to be good so that you can just protect him against characters that potentially could do payback, could do bide. And then if he does get camouflage the whole team, you saw the combo that was like with Kenny. Kenny can just do the rest. So very nice support character indeed, and he's living up to the, you know, what he's meant to be doing. He's meant to be enabling other characters to do a better job, and that's how support characters should work. Now we do have a specialist skill on this character, and I'm just going to read through it. I'm not going to show you any clips because we did see it proccing in those clips before. When this character performs a critical attack on the target, it will deal splash damage, 100% damage attack to up to 3 adjacent targets. The adjacent targets do not gain AP from the damage. This is nice against certain types of characters, just like removing Guardian Shields mainly, but it could be decent damage as well. You know, just going to slowly whittle down, you know, teams, and that can be good if you have got like follow-up characters in your team. So like the first hit that he does on his signature move will hit a particular target, and then if the next hit hits an adjacent target, it will do more damage to the initial hit that he actually did. So that, again, lower HP, more chance of being able to take them out, proccing follow-up, proccing, you know, certain specialist skills on takedowns, maybe passives, so you can definitely get bonuses there. So yep, very nice indeed. I think it's just like a little bonus, but we are seeing more characters come out with Guardian Shields on defense teams, and collateral damage is pretty much one of the only usable ways to remove Guardian Shields without just completely wasting a turn and attacking a Guardian Shield and getting nothing out of it. So it is going to be useful for Wanderer as a support character, and he is going to be hitting a lot of crits because of that signature move, and also because of his weapon. And here is that weapon. It is the Wanderer's Savage Switchblade. It has 40% attack, a huge bonus to AP when attacking. It is also an 8% AP HP weapon, where all teammates get 8% AP and bonus HP at the beginning of each wave. And then in the last slot, it has the improved Critical Expert. Turns a character's base crit to chance to 100%, which is exactly what normal Crit Expert does. But this character gets a 20% crit damage multiplier. So this is really nice. It will stack with the mod crit multiplier, and it also stack with the set multiplier on mods. So potential damage output with all the crits, and the fact that you guarantee crits off of turn 1, you can potentially, you know, swap out that third slot and put in the 45% extra attack when characters have 50% or more HP. Increase that to 50% attack. I'm telling you, that signature move is gonna nuke really, really well. You might want to switch this weapon out though, just for a basic Critical Expert weapon, maybe even a defensive one if you've got one. If you are coming up against those full tough teams, like I say, he is at risk if he does attack the payback character, like, or Vengeance, so I say Vengeance character and Peacekeeper, where he can proc Bide and Payback in the same turn. So potentially could, unfortunately, if he does have a Guardian Shield on himself, remove the Guardian Shield with like the Bide, but the Payback will still get him. So he is very powerful. I think the damage output, especially as he's going to be doing trait damage in that situation, is going to be pretty hefty. And I like this weapon quite a lot. It plays into the rest of his kit really nicely, but you might want to swap it out in certain circumstances, like I say. So that is Gold Mythic the Wanderer, and I didn't actually mention too much about the fact that his stance is pretty cool. He has got like a cool animation. It's kind of one we've seen in the past, going for the juggler, but his hands up in front. I kind of like that. The visuals look really cool on the Wanderer. I like the look on the left-hand side as well, kind of like being cloak and dagger-like. And I think he's a pretty good support character who's going to have actually pretty decent usage in certain teams against certain setups. And I think he's like I say, looks pretty good. He is going to be that first character to join the game from the advanced token wheel, so just keep a lookout for that. We should be able to get some free advanced token pools when it initially drops. I think we get 3 or 4, I can't remember the exact number, and I believe they're meant to be in level up tournaments, those tokens, but we'll have to wait until more is announced there. But any thoughts you have on the Wanderer, please leave them in the comments down below. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.